The cat had never showed interest in the baby's ears before. 4 months of daily proximity, and Clementine had maintained the precise distance from 17-month-old Luca that a cat calculates as socially acceptable, close enough to observe, far enough to deny interest. Then, on a Wednesday morning, she pressed her nose against Luca's right ear and would not be redirected. Theodora noticed it while she was getting Luca's breakfast. She saw Clementine on the couch beside Luca's sitting position, her nose an inch from his right ear, her nostrils moving in the rapid way they moved when she had found something worth investigating. Luca, who was a toddler and therefore had limited patience for investigation not of his own choosing, pushed her face away with one hand. Clementine waited. Then she returned her nose to the same position. Theodora was a high school chemistry teacher. She had learned, in the way that teachers of difficult subjects learn, to distinguish between meaningful patterns and noise, between a student's question that indicates genuine confusion and one that is simply filling silence, between an experiment's anomalous result that warrants investigation and one that is measurement error. She applied the same framework to Clementine. The cat had never done this before. The behavior was specific to one ear, one position, one consistent distance. That was either a pattern or coincidence, and in chemistry, the way you distinguish between the two is to observe it again. She set Luca's oatmeal on the tray and watched. Clementine returned her nose to Luca's right ear, again and again. Theodora picked up Luca and looked in his right ear with the flashlight on her phone. The ear canal was red and slightly swollen, which she was not entirely sure she was interpreting correctly, because she was a chemistry teacher and not a physician. Luca had been slightly cranky for 2 days, which she had attributed to a molar that the pediatrician had told them to expect. She called the pediatrician's office. "If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you are in the right place. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one." The receptionist asked whether Luca had fever. He did not. She asked whether he was pulling at his ear. He was not, which Theodora knew was common knowledge about ear infections, and which she now understood was not a reliable indicator, because cats apparently did not use that criterion. The receptionist scheduled a same-day appointment for that afternoon, as a precaution. The pediatrician examined Luca's right ear for approximately 8 seconds, before saying, "He's got a good one in there. Acute otitis media, the right ear. Significant fluid behind the eardrum, early signs of effusion, and a bacterial presentation that in children Luca's age would not have resolved without treatment." The pediatrician prescribed amoxicillin and told them to expect improvement within 48 hours. She also asked, because Theodora had mentioned the cat, whether Clementine had been showing this behavior for long. Theodora said it had started that morning. The pediatrician said, "Infections in the ear canal produce bacterial metabolites and inflammatory byproducts that alter the local scent profile. Cats have a significantly more sensitive olfactory system than humans. It is plausible that she detected the infection before it was symptomatic enough to cause obvious behavioral signals in the child." She paused. She said, "This is actually not the first time a parent has told me something like this. Has your dog ever pet or cat ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. Luca was better in 2 days, as predicted. The molar continued to be a problem for its own separate reasons, which was normal and required no cat intervention. Clementine returned to her standard operating distance from Luca and maintained it with her usual precision. She did not show particular interest in either of his ears for the following 6 weeks. Theodora had started watching more carefully. The pediatrician had given her a resource, a summary of research on animal detection of human infection, and she had spent 2 evenings reading it with the same focused attention she gave to peer-reviewed chemistry literature. The research was consistent. Cats and dogs register bacterial and inflammatory scent compounds at concentrations far below human olfactory threshold. The literature was thin in places, underfunded in others, but directionally clear. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. She shared what she had found with the chemistry department chair at her school, who had the particular response of someone whose professional training made a new fact satisfying rather than surprising. He said, "Of course." He said, "The volatile organic compound released from bacterial biofilm is well characterized." He said, "We just haven't built instruments sensitive enough to match a cat's nose at ambient conditions." He looked at Clementine when Theodora showed him a photo of the cat on the couch beside Luca. He said, "She probably smelled it the day before, too. She was just telling you on Wednesday." Theodora thought about that. About a Wednesday morning and a cat pressing her nose against a toddler's ear with the particular patience of something that had been trying to make a point and had. Decided that Wednesday was the day to be clear about it. She watched Clementine that evening from across the room. The cat was on the back of the couch, positioned where she could see Luca's playmat, Luca's books stacked against the wall, Luca himself doing what toddlers do in the hour before bath time, which is to say everything at once with maximum noise. Clementine was watching all of it with the focused calm of a guardian who has decided that her post requires her presence and her presence requires no announcement. Theodora had been a chemistry teacher for 14 years. She had taught the unit on olfactory chemistry 12 times. She had explained detection limits and molecular concentration thresholds to students who had mostly been thinking about lunch. She thought now that she would teach it differently.